just kind of how the process went, kind of like, the most common questions you were asked, what they were expecting from you.
Yeah, so Jennifer listed off a lot of great interview questions, so I would definitely research that. I also mentioned the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result. So literally what I did for my interview questions is I just made a list of every accomplishment that I had at Ferris and in my internships. Every time that I had, someone that I might have disagreed with in a group project or on a board or in an organization, and how we overcame that. Anytime that I had a failure that I had to overcome, and really listing out what was the exact process that I did to correct that and to come out stronger. So most interview, the first couple interviews is normally on Zoom, as she said, especially now. And then something that I really encourage is if you're able to meet in person. I love meeting in person nowadays because it's so rare. And I've had a couple interviews where I've gone in person and been like, this is not the company culture that I want to work for. And that's really hard to find out through Zoom as well.
I can
Oh, yeah,
add
go
to
ahead,
this.
go ahead.
So I work at Kellogg's right now in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's one of their cereal companies, but I actually just accepted a job and am moving back to Michigan in Traverse City as an engineer with Sara Lee Frozen Bakery, starting December 5th. So I just went through all these interview questions. The STAR method, like Riley said, is exactly what I use. Use it. It's the easiest method. Whatever projects you've had, even when a lot of things, because you're coming out of school and you might not have big projects and stuff. What are some of your group projects? I use a lot of them. I still use one today because they asked it about diversity and inclusion. And my biggest one was it was at Ferris. It was Professor Kayla Sleziak, if she's still a professor. And it was a group project that we had. And no one in my group, we had totally different backgrounds. We had totally different hobbies. Never talked to these people. And I would have never talked to them after the project. And actually I haven't, but we thought we were gonna fail. We couldn't meet up at the right times that we wanted to. It was just like, man, I was like, I'll never forget talking to people like, man, I don't know about this team. And I was really doubting it. And I was so wrong because we had 2 nights where we came together and through this entire presentation together. And when we presented it, we did so well that I'll never forget this because we sat right in the front row in the business building at one of the tables. They're all sat at the same table. And she goes to the entire class, what did they do wrong? Anything? And the class was silent. And she literally said, exactly. They did absolutely nothing wrong. And she goes, this is the first 100% I'm ever going to give on a presentation. And I sat there and I was like, we had nothing in common. We could barely make conversation and we were so different. But because we were so different and we had different perspectives and all of us coming together, it was astounding. I still use that today. I actually use it for every team I'm trying to build, is to get people that are going to stand up and say, Tyler, you're wrong. And I'm going to be like, okay, prove it to me now. Like, I'm curious because, now I'm intrigued of what you're seeing that I'm not. And that's really big. Also, just being confident. Be confident in yourself. I use this method for myself, especially when you're interviewing and it comes to the end of the year and there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of students graduating, and every one of your students, your classmates, are really your competition. And this is the way I took it: is life is like a cereal, or you're like a cereal box. First off, you got the picture of yourself when you're sitting in an interview of what do you look like? Are you presentable? Do you dress up? That sort of stuff. It's the first thing that you look at on a cereal box. I think of Tony the Tiger because it's Kellogg's cereal. Does this cereal box intrigue me? Next thing a person is going to do is they're going to pick you off that shelf. And this is a company that's going to pick you, that person, out of all these hundreds of other people that are interviewing for this job. And they're going to look, what are your ingredients? Which are your experiences, projects, what are some of the things you've done, internships? And they're going to kind of go through this. They're going to ask you questions on it. Then, they're going to look around, they're going to flip you to the back. Usually there's a game. And, it's kind of your personality. And this is why in-person interviews are really good too, because it shows who that person is, what's their character, like who he was relating to. And, for you, what's the culture here? Am I going to fit in with these people? Am I going to fit in with this team? Then they're going to look back around and they're going to make you an offer. And that offer is usually the price of the cereal box. It's going to be a high offer, it's going to be a low offer. But it's up to you where you're going to place yourself also on that shelf. And that's where it comes with networking, as I like to say, LinkedIn or anything. Predominantly, I use LinkedIn. It's just the easiest, like a social media account, comes like Facebook. Are you going to place yourself with all your connections on the end unit where there's going to be a ton of people walking by? You're going to get a lot of foot traffic and a lot of recruiters reaching out to you. Or are you going to place yourself at the top of the shelf? And that's where, you're not getting out there. You're not marketing yourself. You got to think of yourself like a business. You got to think of yourself in that business. When you get into the negotiation part, is your price. What are you as a business? Are you going to offer the company you're interviewing for? Also, what are they going to offer you? Is there a growth path? I always ask, where do you see me in 5 and 10 years in your company? Because I want a growth path. And also, I'm 100% believer in continuous learning. And I say, what are some of your learning experiences? And where do you guys as a team, do you guys learn still? Do you guys, go out and do team building exercises? It's really, you can question them too. It's not, they can harp on you on questions, but be confident, be stern, ask them the questions, and you're going to do great. And I can tell you a lot of the professors, and with Jennifer in this system, I so wish I had that, because it would make life a million times easier for interview. Use your resources that Ferris gives you. They say it's free, you're paying for it, so use it. It's there, maybe get off the Snapchats and the Instagrams and the Facebooks, do a LinkedIn, because your LinkedIn is your business, it's your marketing, it's your own advertising of yourself. I believe everyone in Ferris, it has its niche, and I tell everyone about my experience and tell people, I can't wait to go back to share my knowledge with you guys. So that's what I'm doing. It's really cool. I hope you guys all do well.
I'm going to piggyback off that too, Tyler. You're talking about confidence, and I really love that analogy with the cereal box. Is that when I was interviewing for my career, that I looked at it as the mindset is that I'm interviewing the company, not what they're interviewing me. Now, I also have to back it up and have value on my resume and bring value to the company as well. But I'm looking for a company that's going to support my career goals. I want a company that gives back to its community, and asking the company and the person that you're interviewing questions about the company really shows the interest. And you have to do research on that company as well before the interview and ask related questions about that role and what the future in that role would be too. So awesome job, Tyler. Another thing, talking about networking, is that one of you have already added us on LinkedIn. And so hopefully more of you add us as well, so we can keep the networking going.